Since President Trump took office, illegal immigration has dropped significantly, according to Border Customs officials. In March, 16,600 individuals were apprehended at the southern border. That's down 30% from the month before, and it is a decrease of 64% since February 2016. Joining us right now is the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton. Attorney General, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
We're really happy that you're here because you can really speak to this from the ground in terms of what you're seeing. Do you hope this wall would be built within the president? Did you hope that this wall would begin the build-out and the talk of the build-out now, I mean this year?
Sure. The sooner the better for us. We've been waiting for action on this for years and years and years. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the wall, but we want some progress, whether it's border security, whether it's technology, but some probably combination of all three.
So what are you seeing? Why is this so important? Characterize the situation for us.
So we have felt like for a long time in Texas that we haven't gotten any help with immigration. We spent a lot of our own money, hundreds of millions of dollars, trying to protect our borders. We don't have really the same resources, nor do we have the same law behind us. So we've always felt like the federal government needed to step up, and we feel like finally we have a president who's doing that.
Do you think that one of the reasons for this decline in people attempting to come over the border is because of the discussion?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The president saying that they're actually going to be deported has an impact. I've actually met with border security agents, and they're very excited actually doing their job for the first time. So there's a new attitude just among those working along the border, knowing that actually what they're doing is going to have an impact. Before they were not able to do their jobs. And
yet, look at the pushback that this president is getting. I mean, a federal judge blocked the president's effort to withhold money from sanctuary cities this week. This is the latest. The executive order threatened to take away federal funding to places that do not cooperate with the law and the enforcement of illegal immigration. Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly weighed in on this. Listen to what he said. I got to get your reaction.
Sure.
It is inconceivable to me that you would ignore the law, and just as inconceivable that an elected official would not want a criminal taken out of the community for free by the federal government, taken out of the community after they pay their debt to society, taken out of the community and sent home. I can't understand it.
What do you think?
I couldn't agree with him more. I actually spoke with him earlier this week, and I have the same opinion. We're dealing with that in Austin. We had a sheriff who wouldn't cooperate with the federal government. You have somebody who's been convicted, they're here illegally. What's the upside for any taxpayer, any constituent, to not having these people deported out of the country?
So what do you make of all of this pushback then?
It's really surprising me because I don't understand, I don't understand the upside to us, and I don't understand this federal judge. It seems to me he focused more on newspaper clippings about what the president said rather than what the actual law says.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I guess we're on hold. Maybe you look at a state like New York. I mean, a city like New York, $7 billion in federal funding. Do you think that Attorney General Jeff Sessions is going to, hold back on this money if, in fact, for example, New York continues to try to say it's a sanctuary city?
I think eventually that's the plan. Look what happened in Texas. We passed a law on sanctuary cities last night where we're going to defund cities that don't participate or don't help with this process. So yeah, I think that's what you're going to see going forward.
What are the big issues around this?
What are the big issues?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really, how long is it going to take to implement this? How long are we going to be in this court struggle over being able to implement this? But I mean, this is federal law. This is state law for us. And so it's just now it's timing because it's going to be tied up in litigation.
I mean, you haven't had the assistance from the federal government for a long time. Why?
Our question exactly, it's something that we feel is obviously important to us. We're talking about the safety of our citizens. We've been concerned about it for a decade, and we've wondered ourselves, why can't we get any help from the federal government? And look, these agents, we're wondering, why can't we do our jobs? They are excited to be able to do their jobs. They think they can do it effectively, and I think the numbers that you're seeing as we have less crossings, I think it's working.
Yeah. When you talk about where we were to today, do you see a stark difference, over the years to where we are today in terms of the focus on illegal and criminality coming over the border?
Oh, yeah. I think Donald Trump has done a great job of focusing. He ran on this issue. He talked about the wall. He talked about border security. I think he's made a difference in changing the narrative and changing the focus. And what I like is, despite the criticism, he's not backing down.
No.
And that's what we're excited about that in Texas, just because, again, we haven't had any help.
So how should this plan look different in the next couple of years? What do you want to see from Texas?
I want to actually see progress. I don't necessarily know exactly which progress comes first, whether it's the wall, whether it's more border agents, whether it's the technology. Just start moving towards, I mean, we have a fence in El Paso that's worked. In the late 1998, I think it was, they built a fence. El Paso used to have one of the highest crime rates. Now it's got one of the lowest crime rates. So we know that it can work. And so strategically placing fences and walls, we think can be effective.
So you're saying in El Paso, Texas, you had one of the highest crime rates, and then when you had this wall, the fence, it turned into one of the lowest crime rates?
I was down there, recently, a little over a month ago, meeting with the police chief and other city leaders, and that was their story, that this fence had made a significant difference. Now they're rated, I think they've had 4 or 5 years in a row where they were rated the safest city in America. Wow.
Well, what should it look like? Because I know that Congress was debating what a wall might look like, because there are certain areas around Texas that there are water levees, or there are other areas that perhaps act as a wall. What's your take in terms of what the actual structure needs to be?
I think it can be different depending on where it's at. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, there are certain places where it doesn't probably make sense to have a wall. There are other places that a fence can work, and there may be other places where it needs to be more of a wall. I think that is a determination that they can make as they go along, and engineers make those decisions.
Where do you see most of the people coming from on the border that you're talking about?
I know for a while it was Mexico, but over the last several years it's been more South America. I think they've been coming through Mexico, using Mexico as a place to go through, and coming across our border from Mexico.
This is an important point, because we don't know who's coming in and where they're coming from, right? If they see an opening in Mexico, they'll just get to Mexico to come in.
Correct. But we also have this whole, we had refugee issues. We tried to stop the federal government from bringing refugees from terrorist countries, and we were unsuccessful in that. And the concern we had was, we don't know who these people are. The administration was not vetting them, or at least not telling us what their background is. It's a concern for us, because we're getting people from all over the world, from countries that have lots of terrorism. We don't know who they are.
And of course, when you look at the Syrian refugee situation, we know that ISIS has said we have a passport-making machine, and we have all of this equipment that we can, in fact, infiltrate the refugee flow.
That's exactly, and we actually sued over the Syrian issue, and it was related to that very issue. We had, I think we had the most number of Syrian refugees in our state, and here we were trying to make sure that our citizens were safe, and we had no way to know what we were dealing with.
Really extraordinary situation. Mr. Attorney General, good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. AG Ken Paxton this morning from Texas.